Hello, happy to be here. I hope you're enjoying the conference as a part of the host team. Very delighted to present my outlook on what's going to happen in 5 years. So actually, the problem is that the fraudsters of today, they are not going to be using tools of today for future. So for us, actually, the risks of tomorrow will not wait, right? So the only solution is to try to predict what's going to happen next. And this is the topic for my talk today. But before that, actually, in order to make any prediction, you have to build a prediction framework, right? So you can actually draw some conclusions. We will try to do it, and then we can make predictions. This is the first slide. Yeah, this is a very typical attempt. I think everybody has seen it many times during this conference. This is actually a fraudster trying to open an account in the Philippines. He will be using a deepfake. The document is fake. On the right, so he's, we'll see, just wait maybe 10 seconds. Yeah, so this is a virtual camera. That's the victim, the real fraudster. This is a deepfake. He will be detected and rejected, right? So what can I learn from it to then try to predict what will happen soon, right? So how we can sort of, predict what his job will be in the future. And actually, this is partially the answer, right? Because this is also a job, right? And then some people say this is from the report by McKinsey. This year, they expect that by 2030, 30% of all occupations will be severely enhanced by AI. And fraudster is a job in a way because they can make money, especially that guy is sort of like a very, not very sophisticated job. But it can be automated as well. Let's see how. This is a very good report by Microsoft from this year. What they did, they actually listed every occupation we have. And then they also tried to sort of research what specific occupation will be the most affected by AI. So you can, of course, get that the interpreters or translators, for some reason historians, but probably because they see historians as sort of like people who explore books, right? So they are covered by AI significantly. But as we mentioned, fraudsters are always also fraudsters, like it's also an occupation, so to speak. But we can also try to predict, make a connection to the listed occupations. So here is the sales representative. So I think a fraudster can be sort of very much connected, or scammer. Or, for instance, Money Mule can be personal financial advisors, right? And you can actually add fraudsters to this list. So here you'll see, so sales representatives will be automated. Phishing operator, also I like phishing operators, is definitely a sales agent. The Money Mule is a money launderer, financial advisor, or a web developer. Here is the cyber criminal. So it will be automated. And this can actually be a sort of like a good prediction framework. So the occupation will be automated, so maybe fraud will be automated, and then we can actually build some prediction on it. Let's see if it's helpful. Actually, what I missed is that the deepfake creator is also a multimedia artist or software engineer. So definitely it's going to be automated, it's going to be disrupted by AI. Is it enough? So this is going to be automated. I can sort of predict that at some point fraud will be purely automated. Yes and no. Not enough, I would say. Let's get back to my example. This is the final part. So the fraudster actually tries to do a face swap, and then he's rejected. So we manage to detect, and we say you are not let in. Right? And you have to do it once again. And then he starts again. What has changed this year is now that you can build systems that can actually act on feedback. So before, like maybe 2 years ago, I could automate, trying to bypass a security check. But now I can build a model that can read the error message and then can probably try a different tool. Right? And this is what changed in 2025. So we went from pure automation to sort of like more sophisticated automation. So our framework is a little bit more complex now because you can actually act on feedback. This is what happened this year. So actually, all of the, I know that it was mentioned many times during this conference, it's going to be agents, is going to come. So this is what happened. So you just automate the whole procedure, the whole KYC procedure. This is called agentic AI by definition. And this is any model, not just language model, any model that can actually read the feedback and act on it. So our framework now is maybe, we can sort of, see what's going on in agentic AI and then can predict what's going to happen, right? So it's a good framework for predictions. But it's not enough, unfortunately, or fortunately for us. You can see here there's more things for us to build on. I listed just a bunch. There are way more, but I think they are more relevant to fraud, as we see. So there are reasoning models, so you can actually think what's going on. You can try to build a model that can actually, just explore a little bit more and act on it. Programming actually is a very hot area right now. The reason for that being that you can actually generate infinite amount of data. So at some point we will be, and I'm an engineer myself, so it's like sort of, I see that it's gonna be automated to the high extreme. So there are startups that will be building programs for you specifically for prompt, and we will touch upon it. But of course for fraud, it means that you can actually generate fraud. We will see it later. It looks like it's irrelevant, right? Automated scientific research, but it's gonna be very relevant for fraud detection. Because the idea is that you learn knowledge. If a fraudster can learn new knowledge for fraud, that's something gonna happen. And finally, it looks like we're gonna automate everything. So if you go to every keynote at every AI conference, there's gonna be, yes, we have to remove humans, let's replace everyone, robots are everywhere. So it looks like the framework is automate everything, right? But this is also not enough. And I will give you 2 examples why it's not enough for predictions, right? So this is a very simple framework. Many people build on it. We will be going just a little bit beyond. And this is an example, the first example that I have. Imagine this is actually from the very cool essay from 3 years ago. We can imagine that the ancient Greeks actually, many years ago, managed to automate every job that they had, right? So they had shepherds, automated shepherds, right? They had self-driving cars for some reason, right? So everything automated, 100% of job automated. Is their life any way closer to ours? Not at all. So it actually, sort of automation, pure automation, does not actually means progress, right? So just a very small part. I can give you one more example, which is more closer to our time. Amazon, right? So the idea was that we want to disrupt bookstores. We can introduce robots. But Amazon is not just a bookstore, right? There are lots of innovations. So progress in Amazon, what they actually contributed, is not pure automation, right? So it looks like automation, if you build on the premise that you have to automate things, it's not really a framework, right, that we want to build on. The answer. This is also from that essay. So the thing is that you can actually have human tasks or jobs that we can automate. Then we can actually have tasks that people do, right, in general. So we automate the small portion of it. But the real progress is here. The real progress is that you can actually build things that we know nothing about yet. So if you just automate things, you will be just automating shepherds. It's not progress, right? So this is actually the framework that we're going to be using to make predictions. Yeah, so let's try, finally, to predict the future. I see some disruption. This is the framework, very simple framework. So let's see. So I'll give you a bunch of predictions. The first prediction, the set of predictions will be for tomorrow, 2026, and the final set of predictions would be for 2030, for next summer, because it's basically tomorrow. Time flies very fast.
This monkey business going on here. We want to introduce Mr. Beast, which is our captain and leader of all of fraud. But we can't take any disruptions here. We're very busy talking about how to fight you. So go off and go read, educate yourself about everything. And really, we just wish you lots of good luck, except not so much.
So the bad guys know what we're doing, right? So we have to predict their moves, and we have to build things ahead of them. Yes, please, go away. So back to predictions. This is 2026. This is a report by Google. I think it was published 2 weeks ago, so everything is very new. And there is the thing that I noticed that they actually shared that they spotted the very first just-in-time malware detected. And it means that you can actually build a model that sort of prompts itself and try to rebuild itself just in time. So cybersecurity is a very hot area right now because you can actually build systems that will try to be undetected as much as they can. And also, I think the problem is that given talks like this, everything is very fresh. I think the report by Anthropic was published 2 days ago, and they actually detected the very first purely autonomous cybersecurity attack based on their infrastructure. They claim that they sort of detected it. I'm pretty sure that they let somebody in, but we can learn on their experience. And I also advise you to take a look at this report and by Anthropic report from this week. So it's they see that it's going to be tough times for us. We also, the report that is everywhere, right? So we see, and this is a prediction that we give. So like, okay, this is the change. So it comes from a democratized fraud to sophisticated fraud. It's still democratized because it's very easy to craft. But the thing is that you're going to have autonomous fraud next year because it's so easy to create, and people will be doing that for sure. So this is a prediction for next year from us, and let's see how it goes. There is one more report that I built my prediction on. It's called State of AI. I think they published, it's a VC fund, they publish a report once a year, and what I like is that they give predictions, 10 predictions, top predictions for the next year, and then they revise it. So in a year, they actually come back and they say, okay, we predicted this, it turned out to be this, and usually it's around 60% success, which is very good for predictions for next year. In AI, this is very, very, very good prediction. So this is the their predictions for this year. We highlighted this one for the first time, and they actually predict there's going to be a security incident related to deepfake next year. So we will see. I hope it's not going to be that big with UN or NATO involved, but this is their prediction. But this is for next year. I sort of wanted to touch upon what's going to go next after this year, next year, so maybe in 5 years or something. So let's build. But before that, there is a the startup that the European Union is very proud of, called Lovable. And their idea is actually you can build whatever you want. So you just type usually it's a very simple application, but you can build on top of it. It's prompted, there is a model, an agent that builds the software for you. So my prediction for next year is that it's going to be Lovable for fraud. It's a startup called Lovable. So you can sort of type whatever you want to create, and then you'll get an agent for fraud. And we had a workshop yesterday, and we touched upon it. So with our participants, we actually, with ChatGPT, we managed to build a very simple agent that does login attempts for you. You can scale it. So you can create, in a second, you can create 1,000 of applicants. So this is going to be happening next year. We'll see. I really like to revise it in a year. Yeah, tomorrow. This is the most fun part. Remember this slide, right? So this is it's a very simple slide, very easy to give your predictions, because this is what will happen. So this is like, I cannot say, so no, we cannot detect it because we cannot predict what's going to happen, right? So this is a fraud that will appear. But when you say, okay, but is it like real? How we predict and then detect? The thing is, even for deepfakes, take us 10 years ago, you would not predict that you will have synthetic identities or face swap that are so good enough, it's very hard to stop to detect, right? So it will happen, and when it happens, everybody will be like, okay, of course, this is a new fraud, and we are not happy about see it, but sort of like it was predictable, right? This is the framework that we're going to use, and I call it Superintelligence because that from that essay, it is actually called Superintelligence. This is a specific term for that. This is the AI plus human combined together, so you can do things that human cannot do before. This is, of course, many people invest into it. Meta called their new team Superintelligence, Meta Superintelligence, and people trying to innovate in this space. So in fraud, there's going to be fraud superintelligence, And what we can do is to sort of try to find ways to deal with it, right? So this is my suggestion. But first, we have to answer the question, are we always behind? Because it looks like they do something, and then we have to detect things. And it looks like in the first place, we are always behind, right? This is the question. And the answer is not always, because we can learn. Like the fraudsters can learn from us. We can also learn from them, right? So even for any level of security, when you let fraudsters in and they then somehow being detected afterwards, you can backtrack and then you can learn in the first place what was wrong at the first step, right? So for us, for me specifically, for instance, it's the only way we deal with deepfakes because nobody can actually say, okay, 100% accuracy is unachievable, right? But people try to steal money, that gets detected, we can backtrack, we can say, oh, this is a new tool coming from some bright engineers in China. Let's just collect more data, train a model, and then update it, and then it's gone. It's fixed, right? So if you think, even for fraud that you don't know about, if you think about it, that you can have a multi-layered system, yeah, you're sort of safe, right? And this is the approach that cybersecurity firms actually advise. You get as much layers as possible, and it's more or less okay, right? But the question is, can we actually detect and see fraud, right? Because what I said before is like you accept fraud, some fraud. I do not really like it. I want to detect it in the first place, right? Can we do it? And I think yes. And this is going to be a very cool area next year because we can actually build systems to detect this. And that's why I mentioned autonomous scientific research, because in my opinion, you have to build systems, not automate things. Because detection is automation, right? I have a deepfake, I build a model, it detects deepfakes. It's just pure automation. It's not really progress. You have to build things that will be trying to automatically do some sort of scientific research to build detection for fraud that we have not seen before. So this is the only way for us to move from fraud superintelligence to anti-fraud superintelligence. And this is the end of my talk. Thank you.